The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's Wednesday, hump day after the primary, the extremely poorly attended.
Poorly attended?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's a
gift.
Yeah, I'm being a little generous, magnanimous. Yeah, it's it always disturbs me because, look, there's going to be a million excuses. There was no city council primary. There were a lot of things. It was a nice day. I was cutting my grass. But the reality is, you walk around this city and you hear complaint after complaint after complaint, and then you get a turnout like this in a primary election, which is just, it's really disgraceful. And
8,763 votes out of 44,000 registered voters.
Yeah.
It's a little over 44,000. It's about 1/5 of the voting population. 1/5.
It's terrible. I mean, look, if you want to complain, please. That's that's the foundation of this society. If you don't like it, you have the right to voice your opinion. But realistically, if you won't go and vote, because when somebody's elected, regardless of who's elected in a final election, if we don't get a majority of the people who are registered to vote, it truly isn't what the people really want. But it is in a way, because if you take it and say, well, if you're so disinterested that you don't even show up, because I've heard all the excuses. I've heard that nothing ever changes. Well, you're right. If you sit on your duff at home and don't go out and vote, you're right. It'll never change. As a matter of fact, it's going to get worse. And don't complain, because that's my point. The point is, look, if you want to complain, I should be able to go down and find out that you voted. Then you got a right. You've earned your right to complain. If you're going to sit at home and say, well, there's nothing I can do except complain, well, now I've got to take issue with that. I don't think that's right. And I remember an old Teddy Roosevelt speech where he talked about the decline of Rome was when the great Roman electorate began not to vote. They became disinterested in the political process. They lost control of their government, and Rome was on its way to basically extinction as the major power in the world. And that's the thing. The key is, look, it's the only thing we got here, people, in this country, our right to vote. We can't overthrow the country. This isn't 1776. We're not fighting a government that has to send people on wooden ships across the ocean and set up logistic lines in a agrarian society. We have police departments that look like mini military organizations. They've got tanks, they've got Humvees, they've got M16s. There'll be no violent overthrow of the government as there was in a Revolutionary War. The only way we can affect change in this government is doing it the way our forefathers allowed us to do, by giving us the right to elect our representatives, not a monarchy. Because we've basically evolved into being England again. We're back in England. We've got the dukes and the duchesses in Congress, and we've got the king and as the president, and we've got a society again that looks like England. These people are a privileged class, and it's just, when I looked at those numbers last night, it's horrifying. It really is.
It's interesting because when I look at the numbers, the way they came out, and I mean, let's look at these numbers, the way they are. In the final numbers, Richard Cabaceres got 1,165 votes, which was about 13%, 13.5% of the people who came out and voted. Ron Cabral got 108, which is 1.25%. Jaisla Correa got 3,938 votes, which is 45.76%. Linda took 3,173 votes, which is 36.87%. Jordan Sylvia took in 187 votes, which is 2.17%. And write-in candidates was 35 or 0.41%. Now, when you look at that, you know, Jaisla's campaign manager, Jan Andrade, you know, said, we got the numbers to win, we got the numbers to win. But he won by the same margin that he won with Sam Sutter, 765 votes. Last time it was 600 and some odd votes. So the margin isn't that large when you consider the fact that you have 1,495 votes now up in the air.
Yeah, and not only that, CJ, the fact is, look at the percentages. Obviously, they can't read a percentage. You got 45.76% of the vote.
Right.
That's not even close to 50.
Right.
So guess what? In an election this poorly attended, when we know, based on the fact that he had a commercial, every 7 milliseconds?
Yeah, it was like every 5 minutes.
Every 5 minutes, he spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on campaign ads. You know, he dragged his people kicking and screaming to the polls. And what did he end up with? Approximately the same kind of percentage as he did before. You know, well, let's forget about, we'll round it up, 46%. Okay. It means that 54% of the people who voted didn't want him.
Right.
So last time I checked, 54 was more than 46. And that doesn't even factor in that the people who didn't show up probably really were big supporters and would probably not be inclined to vote for him in the final election because they're going to come out to vote for a city councilor. And, you know, and those city councilors, some of whom have had issues with the mayor. You would say that, look, they're trying to make a nice spin on this and say, look, if he had 55%, I'd say, well, okay, even though it's a low turnout, and with a turnout like this, there is room for a dramatic change in the final election.
Exactly.
With the turnout. But this is about as poor a showing as you can have as an incumbent and still top the ticket with a low turnout. Because look, you know, Cabaceres appealed to I think he appealed to the demographic. He came across as, you know, fairly articulate. He debated fairly well. He had a fairly solid, you know, position, and I think he appealed to some voters. Now, just his votes alone would take the second place finisher past the mayor, let alone all the rest and the other people that are coming in. I mean, obviously, look, it's his campaign's job to try to spin everything as positive as possible and try to make this look like the election is over and forget about it, we won, but just read the numbers. You know, he got actually far less than 50%, which means that all you have to do, and you have to think that his uptick in votes based on his last performance is not going to be that great. So realistically, everybody, this election is a horse race.
It's a nail biter.
That's right.
It's a nail biter.
It's going to be one that everybody will be on the edge of their seats when they're looking at the vote tallies on the final election. To me, looking at these numbers, nobody has separated themselves from the field.
No. And the thing is that I think with the general election, no matter what the outcome is, unless it's dramatically, you know, unless we're talking about a difference of 5,000 or 6,000 votes, I think that no matter what, we're going to have a recount. I firmly believe that either camp is going to demand a recount, unless the margin is so wide. But if we're coming in like we did last time at 700 or 600, I think that, you're going to look at a recount before you have a finalization of, the election. The bigger problem that we have with this, and I think it's important to realize, is that right now the voters are asking for something. And the voters are asking for something very clearly. They want answers. They want concrete answers, concrete solutions. And I'm going to quote the mayor yesterday that he said it that as he was talking at LePage's Seafood. First off, he's so confident of himself. He says, we're heading into November, and I think we're going to double our numbers. I think that people want 2 more years and to finish the stuff that we've begun. I'm happy we've got a great team at City Hall. We've got a great team on the streets of Fall River and is on track to success. He says, the issues Correa has said he wanted to address include getting rid of the purple bags, referencing the unpopular pay-as-you-throw sanitation program, and quote-unquote, and safety. That's the other issue. I think we've proven that we can successfully fund public safety and education. Education is on its way up. Those are the things I need to continue to do as mayor. I'm going to just continue to do my job.
Well,
and that's what people want. Like it or not, pay as you throw has not worked in Fall River. It's not going to work in Fall River. The people don't want it to work in Fall River. And all they want to hear is, I'm getting rid of the purple bags. That's what they want to hear.
Yeah.
And Chip, well, I mean, let's be realistic. That's what they want to hear.
Oh, yeah.
And he's telling them what they want to hear.
Yeah, and as he told them the last time he ran for election, that he was going to cut salaries in the mayor's office, and he didn't, and that he was going to take a pay cut, and he didn't, and that he was going to get rid of the car that Sam Sutter drove, and he did. But he got a bigger, better, more expensive car to drive around. So, the key is not what he's saying. Is this a manipulation and a distortion of fact, or an out-and-out lie? But okay, I'm gonna, he's talking about we can successfully fund public safety and education. He touted the fact that he increased the he exceeded net school spending. And as I said, the people want explanations. The money that exceeded net school spending was basically health care money and money to provide for police officers. And it was just a move from city side budget to school side budget. It had absolutely no effect on the educational system, on learning time, on classroom size. That classroom size was because of manipulation of classes and moving people around. I didn't see $1 invested in classroom education. I didn't see any more paraprofessionals being brought into the classroom to handle disruptions in the classroom, to allow the teacher to teach, rather than stop the learning time for an entire class because one individual in the class is misbehaving. I've heard that complaint from numerous teachers. So a lot of these things, but I had a conversation yesterday with a friend of mine who's a very astute political observer. And a very, very good point was brought up. Looking at these results, what I was told was, I don't know if Fall River can ever change anymore, because most of the people who would vote because of the fact that their fees and taxes have been increased now have moved out of Fall River, and they're now property owners who can't vote in the city of Fall River. And so now they've left it up to the renters, and some of whom just don't care and haven't realized that these tax and fee increases affect them directly in their rent. And I think it's a very valid point. We can remember years ago when Fall River's population didn't have the percentage of public assistance recipients. We had people who actually worked. Most of those people have packed up and moved to Somerset, Westport, Seacon, Dartmouth, Swansea, you name it. I know a lot of people that used to live here. They're all gone. I see for sale signs all over the city too. More people moving out. And I think the voting demographic has changed dramatically. it's changed so much that in that conversation I had with that, very, very valid point. We basically have an electorate that, number one, doesn't show up because of apathy, where years ago, those people, when they lived in the city, would boot any mayor or any councilor out that continuously raised taxes and fees. They actually lived in fear of having to increase taxes. There was virtually never an election year budget that included increases in anything, because they would have wrote them out of their office on a rail. And all those people have moved out. So what have we got left? We've got people who are politically connected, who get jobs and whose friends get jobs in the city, and they're going to vote. They're going to vote for people. We've turned this, we've basically gotten to a situation here where the people aren't involved, and the people have got to get out. You can't have elections with 8,000 people showing up. People who rent, they throw up their hands. There's nothing I can do. My rent keeps going up. Well, there is. Get out there and throw a few of these people out, and only elect people that are going to try to pay attention to saving the taxpayer money. I see the mayor making all these claims, and all I know that what has been consistent is he's raised taxes and fees. Yeah, he got rid of the $10 fee, trash collection fee. Check your tax bill and check your water bill and see if you're paying more than $100. See if you're not paying more. That money didn't just disappear from the budget. That money was part of the budget. The money that was going to be realized by that fee had to be plugged in to pay parts of the budget. Those things still exist, so they're getting the money from another place. So, yeah, he eliminated, just like the purple bags. I mean, look, we've seen his promises. I promised to reduce salaries, and he didn't. So he's promising to get rid of the purple bags. Has everybody got amnesia? Are they forgetting that he actually said in the council, I've always been in favor of purple bags? He was in favor of purple bags from the beginning till today. Now when he's in an election that he could lose, he'll promise to get rid of those bags. But the fact is, the revenue that those bags are projected to put into the budget doesn't disappear. We have to make up that money. I mean, look, people, it's not that easy. It's not that easy. The fact is, you just say, oh, away with the bags, the problem's over. No, the problem isn't over. The money from those bags is in our budget. You eliminate the bags, you eliminate the way to get the money. So now we have to get the money from somewhere else. And guess what is the only place they can get money from?
Market basket.
Wrong. They got a TIF. Your wallet. Your wallet. And they not only will have to pick your pocket unless they find a way by doing something like actually evaluating the whole thing and see if they can save money through other facets of that program. They will not only pick your pocket for that money, and you'll say, okay, thank you, I got rid of the purple bags, and and I'm paying like $4 a week for purple bags, and now I'm going to pay an extra $10 a week for all the fees and taxes they decrease. Then they're going to be looking for an override for a $240 million school. So get ready. They're not only going to take the money out of your wallet, by the end of this cycle, they may take your entire wallet.
Well, here's the interesting part, because I just received this. The mayor has said that he will have no bags in the next annual budget.
Yep.
So that's fine. He's saying there's going to be no bags. I'm quite sure Linda basically said the same thing. The only thing Linda said was that she's going to make sure that the money is there to pay for it. Because guess what, Mr. Mayor? Even if you get rid of the bags, you still got to pay the cancellation fee on the contract.
Yeah. Well, not only that, CJ, he said he's going to take it out of the he's going to take it out of free cash or something, which is, well, guess what? That's there for a specific reason. That's supposed to be there to handle things outside the regular budget. Unexpected things. It's like when you got a little bit of money in a bank. That's there to help you if your car breaks down And, you know, you can't, you know, you need a transmission and you don't have money because you got to pay your gas, your electric, your light. Well, your annual budget is supposed to be something that you know, this is my revenue and this is what I have to spend it on and this is my budget. So we can't dip into it because, you know, what's the answer to the next thing you're going to get rid of?
But the thing is,
lower free cash until we got none, but ultimately it's not free. Let me tell you this. You should know this. There's no such thing as free. There's no free lunch. There's nothing free in the budget. There's no free cash. That's your money.
That's right.
It's not free. They already took it out of your wallet. And guess what? You can't use it for stuff like this because trash is an annual bill until, you know, we have to, and that money has to be in that budget annually, and it should be provided for annually. That is not a fix. It's a Band-Aid to get them elected. That's crap.
But again, I'm going to do this because I'm going to play the devil's advocate.
Go ahead.
All right?
But I love the devil, by the way.
Exactly. If you remove it from the budget and you don't have a place to fill it, but you have $5 million in free cash every year, okay, all that means is next year's free cash is going to be $3 million shorter. So you're going to only have $2 million of free cash instead of $3 million.
Yeah, and if we have something that's unexpected that happens to the city, and it costs $4.5 million, and we could have covered it with that free cash, which is supposed to be like a contingency fund. Guess what? Guess what? More taxes, more increases. It's not viable. It's like you saying that you're going to take something that's regularly in your budget and take it out of your savings account every year from now on. That doesn't make any sense.
No, I
because
agree.
Guess what? In 5 years, you won't have a savings account.
I agree. I agree. But, you know, the thing is that he's also going to be looking for and again, he's not talking about this, but he's going to be looking for a 2.5 override for a new high school.
Yep.
Meanwhile, it's potentially possible to actually have that included in the budget so that we don't have to do a 2.5 override. So we don't have to do a debt exclusion.
But what does he care?
And he's supporting that.
Of course.
He's supporting more taxes.
Look, he doesn't care. He doesn't care how much tax burden, how many bonds we get, because you know something? I'll make a bold prediction. When he is no longer mayor, whether it's in this next election or at some point in time, I will guarantee you that within a very short time after he no longer holds political office in this city, he will not live here.
Oh.
Even if he doesn't live here now, and we can't get mail delivered to him, but he still does maintain an address. But once he's no longer a political official, I will guarantee that within a very short time after that, he will pull up stakes and move to greener pastures.
Well, you know, and a lot of people are doing that. I mean, just look at the people that moved to Somerset and Swansea.
Yeah.
Heck, I've even looked at moving to Somerset or Swansea. I've looked at moving to Rehoboth. I've looked at moving to Pennsylvania because the taxes in this town are killing me. They're killing me. And I honestly, in good conscience, can't raise the rents for my 2 tenants because they won't be able to afford it. And the problem is the water bill's killing me, the property taxes are killing me, and that's all that's happening every year consistently. I mean, I'm getting the flashback to Ken Fiola. Taxes should be raised every year.
Yeah,
do you remember that?
Oh, I remember it vividly. And and as I said, the conversation I had just last night, before the election returns came in, it was made a very lucid assessment that I know a lot of people who now who are now residents of other communities surrounding Fall River, who used to be residents, who I went to school with, played ball with and stuff. I see them all the time, and they all say the same thing. What the hell is going on? If I was there, I would never vote for that. You know, these tax increases are crazy. And some of them own property, and some of them own multiple properties, but they can't vote. They can't vote because, you know, now it's up to the people who remain here. And we have enough people to let the people speak. That's why we said on the show Monday, please get out and vote. But apparently, everybody doesn't, they just, okay, or I'll wait to the final, or I'm not going to do it at all. Because, you know, and nothing irritates me more than I hear, when I hear a person say, well, you know something, there's nothing you can do about it, so why bother? Well, guess what? I don't care if you lose the fight. You got to fight.
Exactly.
You know, when something's wrong, you've got to attempt to make a change. Because if you don't, you'll end up with a Nazi Germany or a Joe Stalin Russia, because you can't allow, you know, a very select few to control every single decision in your life. And it's moving in this community to the point where, like, you know, like you and I, you know, you seriously consider moving out of the community. Because I look at what's going on in the elections, I look at this charter, which fundamentally removes everything from the people's control, even charter changes, and you know, it's just, you know, it's appalling. But we can change this. We got one more shot in November. Get out and vote. You know, if 40,000 people come out to vote, and every candidate that I don't support gets in, I will come to this show and say, well, the people have spoken. I may disagree, but guess what? I can't, you know, this is the government that you really wanted. But when we get 8,000 people out of over 40,000 registered voters, you're not going to convince me that this is a mandate, that the people have spoken. It's not. That's not what happens.
It's election by the plurality.
That's right.
But here's the thing, and this shows you the apathy of this city. Look at the school committee race. Kevin Aguiar, who's been out of politics for several years, okay, comes in #1 with 13.9% of the votes, 4,076. And he's part of the problem with the reason the Durfee High School's fallen apart. He was in office when Durfee needed maintenance, and it didn't happen. But you elected him anyway. You elected all the incumbents. Our school system's failing, but you're keeping the same people in. You can't do that. Why are you so afraid to say, you know what, I like Joe Martins, or I like Mark Costa, or I like Kevin Aguiar, but you know what? You had your day in the light. It's time for somebody else to come in and maybe do something a little different. No. And that's why Fall River is the crap hole that it is. It's a cesspool. And it's a cesspool that we're not going to get out of as long as people don't care. And that's what's happening. You had 8,000 people who came out, who cared enough to go out and vote, who wanted to take it and make it happen. And guess what? That's it.
And I'm going to file a complaint against this ballot question summary, because the ending is totally misleading, and it's pro-charter. The charter will be initially reviewed up to 5 years after that. After that review, the charter will be reviewed in 10-year intervals, each year ending in the 7. Ordinances will be reviewed 5 years intervals in years ending in 3 and 8. The problem is they don't tell you who's reviewing it. It won't be the people. The people won't elect people to review it. The people won't review it. The politicians will review it. The politicians will have the only say and the final say on everything that happens from now on the charter that governs your city. This ballot question is just like the charter. It's bull.
And the charter commissioner, chairman, went and tried to do, even though he says I'm all for educating the voters and putting a pro and con position on the ballot, he made sure he went and found a way to not put a pro and con position on the ballot. This is when you're talking out of one side of your head and talking out of the other at the same time. And that's the problem we have in Fall River. It's a constant way to deprive the voters their rights at every turn of the wheel. Deny, deny, deny. You don't have a right to do anything. Don't ask. And don't do anything you want. Do what we, the elected monarchy, tell you to do, because I am the dictator. I am the dictatorial board, and you don't have a right to do anything. So the heck with you. Stay angry, people, because guess what? It's that time. It's that time. It's time to make that change.
So
thanks for watching. Have a great.
And you got plenty of time. Get ready to vote in November. You got a whole month and a half to get ready. So, I mean, come on.
Start investigating what your candidates are standing for. Have a great day, and we'll see you on Friday.